So here's the Champions League standings right now. Barcelona sit 9th in the current Champions League phase table, just outside of the top 8, which would give them direct qualification to the round of 16. There is one round to go. Tomorrow they play Copenhagen at the Camp Nou, and Hansi Flick was asked to give his thoughts on whether he likes the new format ahead of the game.
Of course, I love it. I love it, really. So it's about that. We have a big chance to reach the first 8 in this last match, and we will do everything to reach it. And yeah, I like this new format.
Oh, Gab Marcotti joining us now. Frank is still with us as well, and it seems as though Hansi Flick loves this new format, Gab.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people do. There is, there may come a time when people realize there really isn't that much jeopardy involved, because you know what? Especially we saw that last year with Paris Saint-Germain. This whole seeding thing, because sometimes teams, who are very good teams might finish 11th or 12th, or even further down, as we've seen, and then you get stuck playing them and they knock you out. I've long advocated, and I'm not the only one, UEFA General Secretary Theo Theodoridis like this too. I suspect we're the only two, that to make the seeds really, really meaningful, then hey, Arsenal are the top seed. Arsenal get to pick their opponent, or get to pick their bracket in this place. Make 9th place meaningful. Don't just automatically pair them up with who's in 24, because that might be a very good team. Let them pick their opponent, and then 10th go as the next pick, and so on down. Now that, I think, would make the seedings more meaningful than they are today. But as for the format overall, no, so far it's been great.
Yeah, well, Gab, that's bringing up new ideas for this one. We've just got a whole new one. Gab wants a new one. That would definitely give the teams something to really get some motivation if they were taking on the team that picked them. Do you agree with Gab on the point of the new format?
Look, those that like this new league phase and this format will point to tomorrow and say, love it, because of the potential for chaos and permutations and the excitement of what this chaotic last day is going to be like. Who gets in? Who stays out? I'm going to use the same word that Gab just used there. Jeopardy. There is no jeopardy. This is chaos without jeopardy. Because even if you're a team that's trying to make it into the top 8 and you are unable to do so, you still have a fallback plan. You still have something that helps you stay in the competition. You still have enough ramp with the playoff. And if indeed, because some would say, well, what about those that are fighting for the last places in the playoff? What about if you are not in one of those positions? Okay. Unless you're a Kairat Almaty fan, all right, those teams don't even belong in the conversation in the last stages of the competition. And as of lack of jeopardy, I will give you a very clear example. This is a real example. I'm not making it up. Athletic Club Bilbao, who I like as a club, and had a really good result away from home against Atalanta to give themselves this opportunity tomorrow. But this is a team that in 7 matches, they won 2. They won significantly less than 50% of their matches. They've lost 3 and drawn 2, right? And yet here they are with an opportunity to be part of this playoff. So when we say there is no jeopardy, or when I say there is no jeopardy, this is what I mean. You can lose 3 matches, you can draw 2 matches, and still you have a chance and an inside track, because if they get a result against Sporting at home tomorrow, they will be part of the playoff. There is no jeopardy here. There may be chaos, it may be interesting, it may be exciting for some, but there is no danger for teams that are going to finish in a position to, at the very least, be in a playoff.
Could you do without the extra games, though, Shaka? Could you look at it that way?
Well, I like the format. I think the lack of jeopardy comes in 24 teams qualifying for the next round. Now, if you cut that down to 16, as it was when we had the previous format with the groups of 4, etc., then it becomes, it has that jeopardy.
Well, so then you like-ish the format.
I like the format. The argument that's being put forward is too many numbers going through to the next round. But I like this. So
we'll just make the top 16 direct qualification, and that's it.
Yeah, if that is the differentiator, then so be it.
But that's not the format.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But
It's okay, we're all suggesting new formats today, though.
The format is you draw a number of teams and you play, home and away, not in the set. Each team plays one of 3 teams home and away. The format is different. The numbers also are different. What I'm saying is, if the numbers were the same, you have that jeopardy that you're talking about.
Okay, if I may, because there's other people that would say and sit here, and I've heard Stevie make this argument that, well, look, the group stage, when it was a group stage, in previous editions of the Champions League, well, you kind of knew what teams were going to qualify out of that group. You got your first, you got your second, and then those elite teams are probably going to make it, and then the third team would go to... Look, I want to talk about Barcelona because Hansi Flick is talking about how much he loves this format.
Even though they're not in the top 8 right now.
Right, but they have an opportunity to make it into the top 8. If you look at their schedule as to who they have played this year in Champions League, people talk about elite matchups and how they love this format because it allows for elite matchups. Well, which ones are the elite matchups that Barcelona has had? PSG, okay, I'll take that. Chelsea, maybe. Historically relevant, but maybe, right? So, this is just an extended version of what we had before.
The 18th September, what you mean? Well,
What?
we're just going to skip over September 18th here.
Okay, I'm talking about elite teams, Shaq. Elite teams. And so this is just an extended version of what we had before. Because if I were to pick out a group out of this, it would be PSG and Barcelona would be the top 2 seeds in that group. And then the other 2 would be a combination of Slavia Prague, Copenhagen, Club Brugge, Olympiacos. It's just an extended version of what we already know and what we've already seen. Now, you may sort of fall in love with this drama and chaos. It's all, look at the birdie here, look at the birdie here, look at the birdie here. The truth of the matter is that in the end, the teams that are supposed to be in the top 8 and the top 16 will be the same teams that would have been there if we were in a group stage.
Okay, before I go to get Frank's take on this, I see that you're pulling faces at Ale, Gab.
Oh, I'm not shocked about that.
Well, no. So PSG and Barcelona, you wouldn't see that in the group stage because presumably they'd both be top seeds if they're in the top 8. So they wouldn't be playing each other. And then you also have to throw Chelsea in there, and you also have to throw Newcastle in there. And it's a seeding, and you could come up with a different top seed, and they would have a much tougher run, and you'd be like, ooh, this is kind of hard. So look, there is no perfect system. Would it be better if like the top 16 went through? Sure, but then what do you do with the other 20 clubs who are in there? Imagine all the dead rubbers. Imagine all the teams that would be eliminated if you only had 16 out of 36 going through. So then you say, oh, well, why don't we reduce it and have fewer teams in there? Okay, then you know the answer to that. And it's money. And it's having more matchups, generating more money, so the clubs are happy, so the players, which you guys both were, professional footballers, keep making that money. I hate to be cynical about this, but this is about monetizing the competition in the best way, and that means balancing these things out. It means having more matches, having more big matches, and having it be exciting. And I think in that sense, they've succeeded, because at least for now, Shaka and I like it, and look, we're already an army of 2.
Okay, let's see if we can get you an army of 3. Frank Leboeuf.
Yes, we're going to be 3 because I like the fact that it's kind of a warmer for the chaos time, you know, and we really had, you know, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, so we really had some excitement, you know, but it's like any sport in America where you have the regular season and suddenly you start the playoffs and everybody gets crazy. So it's about the time, and very soon we're going to have that in the Champions League. So I have no issue whatsoever, and don't forget what Gab just said. It's about making money, and we all know that we have, I don't know, 48 teams, you know, for the World Cup, and we have more teams for the Champions League, and we all know why we have those amounts of clubs in the Champions League. Is because of money time, and that's what it is. So I'm okay with that. It's maybe too much for the players, but as Gab said again, they're going to make even more money, so it's good for them too. So I'm pleased with the system. It's kind of unbalanced at some point because you can play a team there, another team there, and then you get serious.
Okay,
and that's the playoffs.
It got
and
serious
soon
in
they're
here,
going to be
Frank.
there.
Because first of all, while you were talking, Ali Moreno first did this and crossed his arms, and then he put his head in his hand like this. So I'm worrying about what he's about to say now.
Well, no. Frank mentioned American sports. I didn't bring it up. He brought it up, right? If indeed you wanted to make this exciting and somewhat similar to American sports, no, I'm not suggesting that you should, but I'm just drawing equivalents, then do it as they do the NCAA tournament here in basketball, in which you have a seeding system, and actually you have Jeopardy, where the number 1 seed can play against the 16th seed, and it doesn't usually happen, but sometimes there is an upset. Here, there is no upset, not just yet. This league phase has been an extended period of time over a few months in which there is no real upset. There is no real significance to losing a game. Barcelona tying with Club Brugge doesn't mean anything, really. It doesn't. And so what I'm looking for is games that matter early on in the competition. Yeah, so if you're playing one against...
Yeah, but Ali...
Okay, all right, go ahead, Frank. Go ahead. Honestly, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ali. When I refer to American sport, I was referring to the fact that I lived in LA and I saw the regular season where nobody cares. Nobody cares. We all know who's going to be the first 8, for example, in basketball. And we take it seriously when the playoff starts. So it's why I say that. It's because nobody cares really right now. It's just entertaining a little bit. And let's be serious. Let's get serious. It's why I was referring to the American sport.
Okay.
And the fact that
Frank, you're making my point for me.
Of course.
Frank, you're making my point for me. You're saying that you don't care about this league phase. You're only waiting about the knockout stage. That's exactly what I'm saying. That this league phase is it's charades. It's for show, but nothing else. There is no real substance to this. And yes, I agree, this gets a lot more exciting in the knockout stage, but you're making my point for me. By saying that you don't care about the league phase, yes, I agree with you. I'm with you in that sense.
All right, let me take a look at the top of the table as it stands right now in this league phase, because what we are seeing is the Premier League teams doing well so far in the league phase. And there's been a lot of talk this season, Shaka, about whether the Premier League is not so strong this year and other teams are falling off, and Arsenal are up at the top there and they're up at the top here. But the teams seem to be doing pretty well against European opposition, those Premier League sides.
Which is odd, kind of given their struggles domestically. No, I've never bought into this. Well, the Premier League teams are doing better than anybody else, and that suggests something about the Premier League that the other leagues can't claim. I've never bought into that. And this table is a perfect example of that. How was Spurs 5th?
The league phase allows for this to happen.
This version of Spurs. So something is happening here. More things in individual club basis, where Spurs are competing in Europe in the way that they are, and cannot put together any kind of a result domestically. The Premier League teams are doing well. They're strong, but I think in any league, all the strong teams are progressing, are doing well. So I don't read an awful lot into it. Not yet. Not in the group stage.
Gab, do you read into it at all?
No, it just tells us what we already know. Also, that table's pretty fugazi. Look at the number of teams that are on 13 points. Mm-hmm. You know, we're talking about really, really fine margins. It was the same thing last year. You're going to see teams making top 8 because of goal difference, which is frankly incredibly stupid when you think about it, as a way of separating teams when they've all played different opponents. I don't need this to tell me that the Premier League has the most really good teams out of any big league in Europe. I might also say, you mentioned Spurs, but hey, look, just to underscore how single games matter, in their last game, the other team against Borussia Dortmund, the other team had a guy sent off after 24 minutes, and that was that. It doesn't happen every day. These are lucky things out of your control. There's variance. Does anybody think Spurs are better than Man City because Spurs are ahead of them in the table? No.